Welcome to day one of Wedding Week. We're super excited. This is our second time doing this, and I believe this is going to be so much better, even than last time, even though last time was amazing. We're really excited that you're here, that you're joining us, that you've chosen to be part of this sprint, right? To get more done in 5 days than you have in the past 2 months. We're here to give you the clarity that you need to make the next step for your wedding and to do it with grace, to do it while saving a whole lot of times, and also giving you a preview of what it's like to work with the wedding details team to make your wedding a huge success. So thank you for joining us. My name is Faisal. I'm the CEO of Wedded Details. I will be introducing other team members as we go along, but I'm excited that you are here. All right, welcome once again. Like I said, we're so excited that you're here. All right, so a little bit about Wedded Details. Like I said, I'm the CEO of Wedded Details. Wedded Details is a child company of Statuesque Events. We have been in business for over 15 years of producing weddings across the United States and a few places internationally. We love what we do, and we love making wedding planning more efficient for our couples, right? Now, that said, over the years, of course, wedding planning has gotten more and more expensive, and it's a lot of work. However, we found a system and a process that works and that allows us to deliver wedding planning services, including helping you find your venue, helping you find your vendor, planning your budget, all of that, and customizing a wedding for you for so much less. And we're really excited about bringing that through Wedded Details. So we're really excited about that. Essentially, it's wedding planning for the modern couple. If you're that person who's the modern couple, you're that person who's savvy, you love using your computer, you love using the self-checkout line when you get to the supermarket, you don't want to wait online and have to wait for people to email you details and all of that. Trust me, you're going to love Wedded Details. You're going to love the way that we deliver it. Think of it as what LegalZoom did for the legal industry, for what TurboTax did for the tax industry. We're bringing that to the wedding industry, which allows us to give you really efficient, high-level wedding planning services given through experts. Myself, we have other planners on the team who are experts, who are giving it to you for just a fraction of the price. And we're really excited about that, right? Because more than 70% of couples don't hire a wedding planner, largely because of the cost. And this is also why so many weddings go a little bit off the rails. Weddings start late. They have all kinds of disasters, and you see all of the complaints that couples have about their weddings when you look at Facebook groups, when you look at Reddit forums and all of that. We're here to help you to avoid that. We want to help you to have a smooth planning process. We don't want you to be frazzled because you're spending hours and hours a week on planning. We want to help you streamline all of that at a fraction of the price. So we're really excited about bringing this to you. All right, so a little bit about Wedding Week. So our goal is to help you get more done in 5 days than you have in the past 2 months, and simply through giving you more clarity, telling you exactly what to look for, how to look for it, and giving you more clarity and language around what you need. That is our goal over the next 5 days, and I'm excited that we're going to be diving in with day one right now. So our day one mantra is, my venue does not run my wedding. I run my wedding. And this is really important. Ultimately, a lot of couples get stuck in this trap of thinking that your venue is what decides everything. Your venue should decide all of your vendors. Your venue should decide what time you start and end. Your venue should decide everything. And when you do this, yes, your venue's happy because you're making life easy for them. However, you end up pretty much just advertising your venue. Your wedding doesn't look like your wedding. It just looks like an ad for the venue. And that's not necessarily what we want. Most people want a customized wedding. You want people to leave feeling like, oh, that was so Sarah. Oh my gosh, that was so Natalie. Like I can see her vision and I can see why she chose all of the different elements, right? Another part of this is obviously not overspending on the venue so you can actually afford customized elements in other areas. But the goal here is we want you to, yeah, find the right venue for you so that you can solidify your date, but also not get so lost in your venue that you have to sacrifice on everything else because of the choice of venue that you had. So this is our mantra and this is our goal as we give you feedback and advice on finding your venue. So why your venue choice matters. Here's a quick story. I may give you two, but I'll give you one to start. We worked on a wedding for a couple who was getting married in New Jersey, and they insisted that they would not have more than maybe 200 people at their wedding, maybe 200, 250 at the very most at their wedding. So we looked at a lot of venues, and I told them that none of the venues with a max capacity of 200 would work, right? Because if you're telling me you want 200, you may go over. So we made sure not to select anything that was like maxed at 200. Ultimately, we ended up picking a venue that was a little bit bigger than their capacity. Like the max capacity was like 450, but it still looked beautiful with 200. And we went with it because they just fell in love with the grounds and they fell in love with it was like a mansion. They just fell in love with it. Long story short, by the time that this wedding was like took place, there were 450 people on the guest list. The family was trying to add more people to the wedding, and it got a little crazy, right? Like we had to keep telling the family, no, you can't invite more people. And yes, the family paid for all of those seats. They paid the extra money that was needed to increase the wedding to that size, but we couldn't increase the venue. We couldn't like just put 600 people in a venue that could only take 450, right? Especially if you want to organize in a non-chaotic wedding. So ultimately, your venue choice matters, and it's important to get on the same page with everyone who's a decision maker for your wedding before you select a venue, not just for the style. A lot of people get locked up on the style, and the style matters, of course, but also the capacity is a huge one. In this case, if they had selected a venue with, let's say, a 200 person or 250 person capacity, they would have been in trouble because there's nothing we could have done to accommodate 400 people, right? In a space like that. And this is because though we asked up front, we always ask up front, have you discussed it with your family? And they said, they'll just go along with what we say. When they finally did have the discussion, there were way more people who needed to be invited than they realized, right? So it's really important to make sure that you're having critical conversations before you select a venue because your venue starts to put, once you select a venue, it starts to put limits on your wedding. And you want to make sure that those limits are realistic. The space limits, the time limits, so many other limits are actually setup time that you have, all of that. You want to make sure those things are realistic for the vision that you have in your mind. And that's a big part of what we keep in mind whenever we're searching for venues for our clients at Wedded Details, is making sure that whatever constraints come with the venue actually work with the vision that you have in mind. So, some lessons for venues. Number one, like I said, have honest conversations with critical family and friends before you book your venue, right? You have to, and not only that, but also about your guest counts. Like how many people, like you can tell them, hey, we were hoping you were gonna invite maybe 10 friends, right? And these are the family members we're inviting. Is there anybody else who's critical to be there? Give them a little bit of time to get back to you, but have those honest conversations so that yeah, you may think you're gonna have 180 people and end up at 200. That's still reasonable, but so that your guest count doesn't balloon and so that you're picking a venue that is a reasonable size. If you have to walk away from your venue to pick another, you're going to be losing a deposit, right? The venue is not going to give you your money back just because you changed your mind. So you want to make sure that before you rush into a decision, that it is realistic for what you and your family actually need. The second thing is you want to make sure you like your venue before booking because rebuilding a venue is pricey. Not only is walking away from a venue pricing, but rebuilding one is pricey. We have worked with a couple clients who came to us after they had already booked the venue. And we were talking through design, talking through things, and they just said, I don't like this venue. I don't really remember why I booked it. Maybe there was like a special at the venue that they just wanted to take advantage of. Maybe they just booked it a long time ago, and now they're like, why did I book this maybe hotel ballroom? And they just didn't like it. And it was actually awkward because one time the venue was like had us on their recommended vendor list, and the venue is the one who made the introduction to us, and we had to have the awkward conversation that the couple doesn't want to get married here anymore, and it had nothing to do with us. It was not initiated by us. The couple said, we don't like this space anymore. They lost deposits, and yes, we found another space, but that's something that you have to keep in mind. Also, having full-on draping on every wall in the ballroom, recarpeting the floor and things like that, replacing all the furniture in the place, all those things are very pricey. So particularly if you're listening and you're on a budget, saying, I don't like this space, but I'm going to decorate it can be pricey. And when I say pricey, it can cost more than what it costs for you to rent that venue, right? So you want to make sure you actually like the venue. If there's a venue that you like, maybe a little bit more and it costs a little bit more, like $1,000 more, I'm telling you that's going to be less than trying to go with the cheapest option and rebuild everything and bring everything in from outside, right? So that's something to keep in mind. The third thing is make sure you understand the venue limits, right? When you're booking other vendors. For instance, there are a lot of venues out there that are cool, they're fun, and they seem nice, but they only give you 1 hour to set up. That's not a lot of time. You can't set up a ceremony arch. You can't, even tall centerpieces can be tricky in a space like that, so what that means is you're not able to have elaborate decor, right? If you have such a tight setup window. There are many other limitations that can affect other vendors. There's some churches where they don't allow photographers to just take photos freely. There's just a lot of rules so you want to make sure you understand the limits and how they're going to affect the other vendors before you book. Number four, make sure understand that every time you change something after you sign a venue contract, you are going to spend more money almost every time. Almost every time. It is easier to negotiate upfront that you need 20 extra chairs or that you need a little bit extra china or whatever, and possibly get away with that for free, as a fast action bonus for signing. But after you've already signed, they're going to charge you more for it. So make sure that you're clear on what you need before booking the venue, which again is why we would recommend going with someone like Wedded Details because we'll tell you what you need before you book. And last but not least, of course, let a professional guide you, right? Like I just said, we'll tell you what you need before you move forward. Now, I asked some people to ask questions like, what questions do you have? What concerns do you have? Right? And so one person left that their biggest venue concern is that the venue only provides tables and chairs. There's really no other categories, right, that are included, like decor, photography, etc., and food. And they want to make sure that everything is organized. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to our wedding mom, one of our lead wedding planners at Wedded Details. She's the person who leads our weekly Q&A calls. So once you get your deliverables, you can join these calls, ask any clarifying questions, and just get any support. But my question for you, Christina, in this situation, because obviously this isn't a question, but my question is it typical to rent a venue where they do not provide decor, photography, and food? Like, is that a strange scenario? Is that typical? And what feedback do you have, right, about making sure that all your vendors that you bring from outside are organized in a situation like this?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty normal, pretty standard practice for a majority of venues to not offer those things. So most of the time you're gonna have to provide your own for all of those. I would say the biggest feedback on doing these things is just making sure ahead of time, if you're being guided by a professional, having itemized category budget for each of these line items in anticipation that your venue is not going to be including those with the fees you're paying them. So I think a lot of couples get too ahead of themselves and they just have this general overall number of like our wedding budget is, 30,000 or whatever. And then they go venue shopping before they have an itemized budget, and then they spend half of their budget on the venue that they fall in love with without realizing that all of these other things aren't included and that those things cost probably more than what they have left. So that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. That's really good. And I think that's critical. And that is also very common, like you said,
Mhm.
about people overspending on the venue. So when it comes to keeping vendors organized, like let's say caterer, photo decor, because it seems like your answer is that it is typical, right, to not have those things included.
Yeah.
So let's just pick one. What feedback do you have about, let's say, keeping catering organized if you have an outside caterer?
I think keeping catering organized is just having defined clear rules of what they're providing. So depending on what kind of catering you're using, if you're using a full service catering, a drop off catering, and just making sure that you have all of those vendors on lock and there's a clear understanding of, okay, this caterer is only providing the food, but we still need someone to serve the food because they're only going to put it in the chafing dishes, or we need to rent the chafing dishes. Are they providing the china? And so just keeping that organized by who's responsible for what is really helpful in keeping that. organized so you're not having to have it live all in your brain. There's something, a document of some kind.
Right, right. No, I love that. I love that. Knowing who's doing what. And that's very possible. It's definitely something I've seen on the forums and stuff like that. That, oh my gosh, my caterer just dropped off food and we didn't have anything to eat it with, right? And that is a very difficult problem to solve on the day of the event, especially depending on how
Oh yeah.
far you are from a grocery store where you can pick up paper plates, right? And paper
Mhm.
plates may not have even been your vision in the first place, but like at least if there's someone nearby that you can go, that at least helps. And hopefully there's not a long line, right? So I think, yeah, I think that's excellent. I have one more question for you. Um, is it a good idea to get a venue with catering included or a venue without? It's like, is it better to go with um, a venue that includes a caterer or without, or does it not matter?
Yeah, I think it depends on your wedding vision. I always tell couples if you're wanting to infuse like your culture or food that really, you have a specific type of food that you guys really enjoy, you want to serve to your guests, you want to make that part of the experience, having the flexibility to bring in your own catering, is always nice. If food is like lower on your priority list, if you're like not really picky, you're like, I don't really care if my guests eat chicken, pasta, whatever it is, then it can sometimes save you some hassle and some money to have a venue that includes the catering. It just limits your options.
Right, right. Yep, I totally agree. And the one thing there that I think could be really helpful, the one thing that could be really helpful is whether or not you have a budget breakdown before you start the venue search, which we've already said, right? Because if you already have the
Yep.
budget breakdown before you start the venue search, then you can compare a venue that includes catering and add the cost of catering in your budget to the cost of the venue and compare that to another venue and look at, that may not include catering and look at just the raw cost plus what you're probably going to spend on catering. Like you have a clearer view and it's easier to compare apples to apples if that's already broken down before you book anything versus afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and that again is another reason that we love to do the budget breakdowns very early in the process when you work with us. All right, so another common question that we've gotten, like I mentioned, we're with wedded details, and a lot of you guys are like deciding on whether to hire a wedding planner or who your wedding planner would be. So this is what our process looks like, right? So at the beginning, if you have not booked a venue, you complete our pre-work form. And after that, we give you venue recommendations, meaning we'll give you recommendations within the budget range that we just discussed, and we'll let you know whether you should go with a venue that includes catering already or that has outside catering based off of your needs. We'll give you a bunch of recommendations. We will also give you the exact inquiry text to copy and paste when you are inquiring with these venues, so you're getting the correct quotes and you know which ones to book, right? Next, we go to our intake process. If you already have a venue booked, before you come to us, you start here. If not, once you book the venue, after the pre-work stage, you start here after that. So then we break down your budget per category. We finalize your budget per category. We also give you vendor recommendations for all categories. I'm talking hair, makeup, all the way through decor, all the way through photography, everything you need. We will give you the recommendations all up front. The reason we do this is because it eliminates a lot of guesswork of, oh, am I overspending? Am I underspending? You will literally see upfront your exact budget, and you will literally see upfront venue options that will fit within vendor options that fit within that budget. So you know that you have options to choose from. We'll give you inquiry text that you use to copy and paste and, inquire, hey, I need a caterer for this date and this is what I'm looking for, etc. We'll give you the exact so that you can get proposals that actually match what you need. A lot of what wastes time in the wedding planning process is not knowing what you need, but inquiring and then going back and forth with a whole bunch of vendors at all at once to try to like understand what's going on, right? What usually happens is that all the vendors are going to give you all different quotes for all different things that makes it difficult to compare apples to apples. So we'll tell you exactly what to share so that you can get back quotes that make it easier to compare apples to apple. We'll create a timeline draft so you can see how your timeline flows. We give you a task list, and we also have weekly group wedding planning calls. Like I said, Christina leads our group wedding planning calls every Monday. Then during the planning phase, this is at this point you're equipped with everything you need. You have the weekly group wedding planning calls. We have our AI employee, Veronica, who reviews all of your agreements before you book. So she's specialized in making sure that your agreements match your custom needs. So you will get a custom needs form. You upload it, and then you also upload the agreement. So she'll tell you what matches and what does not match. So you make sure you stay on task. This is something over the years we found is very important. We can tell you what you need, but a lot of times things get lost in translation when it's time to sign. So we want to make sure that those are lined up. You also have access to Wendy, who can give you instant answers to most of the questions that you have throughout the wedding planning journey. Finally, we also have our final details stage. If you've already booked all your vendors and you book our classic package, this is where you start. At this point, you upload every single contract that you've signed, and then you tell us a little bit more about your vision, and then we create your final details timeline. We create final emails for each of your vendors, meaning your photographer, your videographer, makeup, etc. They each get their own custom email of what needs to be done on the wedding day. You also create your final details task list. We have an email to your wedding party. We'll talk about that on day 4, but it's so crucial for your family and friends to be on board, and emails to your family as well. If you don't want to email them, you can also send it to them as a text in a Google Doc, right? But just making sure that everybody has everything they need to show up well on your wedding day. And then last but not least is day of coordination. So we either will pair you with a local wedding coordinator in your city, or you can have a family member or a friend manage the day for you, and we will train them. We have materials that they can watch and learn what it looks like to show up as a wedding, as a lead, right? And manage the day. And then, of course, they'll have our timelines to run with. So this is what it looks like working with us. All right. And also just a reminder, because you've joined for Wedding Week, you are eligible for certain bonuses. And this also includes those of you who are watching the replay or watching this on demand. So if you join on day 1, you get access to our pre and post wedding venue guide, which basically lets you know what to look for in a venue, right? Like if you're, you have a welcome party that's coming in, or you have a rehearsal dinner, or you have a farewell brunch, right? Those sorts of smaller, like 2-hour events that happen before the wedding day or after the wedding day will let you know these are things to look for. Like these are common places to have these events. This is how your schedule should run. This is how to make it fun for your guests. It's a quick guide that'll give you everything that you need, and you get access to that, right? If you book any of our packages by midnight tonight. All right, so that pretty much covers it for today. Just a reminder, we're really excited about all of you guys being part of Wedding Week. Our goal is to keep each day to maybe half an hour to 45 minutes, answering all of your questions. I know we already got to answer some questions up front. Thanks, Christina, for that. We got to answer some questions up front. But as we go along, if you have any additional questions, please ask them. And that's our goal. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope this helps you with clarity. Your homework for tonight, again, this is whether you are watching live or watching on demand, you do have a quick homework assignment. And that is, I don't have a slide for that. Okay, so that is to go into the modules, into the module content for day 1. You will see a link to Veronica. I just talked about Veronica, how Veronica reviews your vendor contracts, your proposals, and all of that. You can grab a requirements sheet. It's a more generic requirements sheet. It's not customized for your wedding, but it's more generic. There are 2 options, whether you want to have in-house catering or not. You can grab the one that's relevant to you, upload it to Veronica, and then upload your venue proposal. You can, if you have already booked a venue, upload the contract of the venue that you already have, and it'll spit out, yes, like your venue is great for this, this, and this. You need to follow up about this, this, and this, and maybe get clarity on a few things. And if you have not booked a venue yet, but maybe you've already shopped around with some venues and maybe they've emailed you back pricing, or they've sent you proposals, or they've sent you booking guides, you can upload that so that Veronica can let you know. You can upload multiple. You can upload like 5 different venue proposals if you're still shopping through venues, and let it tell you like, hey, these are the pros or cons of each. All right, so that's your homework assignment. It's really quick. It doesn't take much. One of the reasons we love working with AI with some capacity. Your wedding with us is always planned by a human, but we love this reinforcement because you get instant access. Whether it's the middle of the night or early in the morning, whatever, you get instant answers to what you need as you're selecting your vendors. All right, so go ahead and work on that homework assignment, learn a little bit of something, and we can't wait to see you tomorrow for day two. All right, so we're really, really, really excited about that. All right. So we do have one more question that we want to handle before we close out for today. So the question is, our venue package comes with a day of coordinator, but we have not met with or been introduced to them. How do I know if I need more than they provide? Ooh. Okay, I have thoughts, but I'm curious, Christina, what you think first.
Yes, this is a common question that we get. So the rule of thumb I like to tell people, just to be on the safe side, is if they're employed by the venue, then typically they're a venue coordinator. However, there are some venues that they give you a recommended list of coordinators and they have set deals and pricings with them. So they kind of pre-sell their package for them. And then you get to select from that list of potential coordinators. Then, you can talk with them usually way ahead of time and figure out what their package includes, if you need to make any upgrades, et cetera, et cetera. But typically, unless it's a separate company or a separate person not employed by the venue, then they are just a venue coordinator.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. A lot of times people are like, what's the difference between a venue coordinator and a wedding planner, right? A
Yeah.
venue coordinator is focused on making sure that you do not harm the venue, right? So, for
Hmm.
example, many, many years ago, we worked on a wedding for a couple who was getting married at a hotel. And the hotel is beautiful. Again, the rooms are upstairs, the people are downstairs, the hotel's catering, the hotel is taking care of a lot. Um, and unfortunately, there was like a really bad accident on the highway. And because of that accident, the clergy was late, right? The venue coordinator did not advocate for the couple, did not say to the next couple, "Hey, can you guys wait 15 minutes?" Right? Because this is the situation or whatever. The venue coordinator was telling the couple that they are just going to have to move because somebody else is coming. And while I understand that we don't want to just inconvenience somebody else for no reason, we don't want to ruin somebody else's wedding. It had nothing to do with the next person's wedding, but the person didn't even try. They didn't even ask, right? And this was a million years ago, back when I was doing floral design and event planning. So for this particular project, I was not the event planner. I was just doing floral design. But I ended up stepping in and talking to the other couple and saying, "Hey, this is the situation. Do you guys mind waiting 10 or 15 minutes?" And guess what? They didn't mind. It wasn't that big of a deal because there was no one else after them. And they were like, "Oh my God, oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do if that was me. Like, I feel so bad, you know?" So in this situation, the venue coordinator was not there to advocate for the couple. They were there to advocate for the venue and to make sure that the venue did not have any issues. A venue coordinator a lot of times will push like, "Hey guys, you guys just need to, I don't know what you guys are doing with these speeches. These speeches are taking too long. We just need to move on because the food is done in the kitchen." They won't manage the kitchen to say, "Hey, this is the flow of events that's important." They only care about making sure that they do what they need to do. A lot of times. There are
Mm.
very few times that an in-house venue coordinator is maybe cares more about you than the venue. Not more. They never care more about you, but you know what I'm saying, like where they give you care. And even in those cases, it's an independent event planner that they've like subcontracted it to. Like it's not it's really important to know that. And so especially if your venue is like refusing to introduce you to the coordinator until like maybe 30 days out, which makes it really difficult to hire somebody else if they don't. First of all, it's difficult for you to figure out whether or not they're going to meet your needs until the last
Yep.
minute. Um, I think that it's always, if you can make it work at all, it's always better to hire an outside coordinator. And that's what we like to provide here with Wedded Details. First of all, we'll help you to organize your details. Because again, a venue coordinator, even if they are there for your wedding or whatever, there's still a lot they're not going to do. They're not going to make sure that your hair and makeup schedule goes smooth, so you actually show up to the wedding on time in the first place, that your transportation is coordinated. They only care about what's happening in their space. And so we want to help you with that through Wedded Details, and we definitely, as much as possible, would love to pair you with a coordinator. If you absolutely cannot afford it, this is where you want to have a family member or a friend who is not in the wedding party, who is not one of your parents, who's not in the procession, but you want to have a family member or a friend be that, fill that gap for you. And that's why I said earlier we will train that person. They'll fill that gap for you and work with the venue manager for you, because that it's that person's job to advocate for you and for your wedding day. So again, agree with
Yes.
everything Christina said, just adding a little extra, adding a story.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, this has been great. This has been great. Thank you guys for joining once again. For those of you guys who are watching the replay, I hope that this is juicy and this has been helpful. I know that, attention spans are short, so we like to keep this nice and short. But we're excited about working with you. Reply to any of the emails that you've received this week. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to help you along. And don't forget to do your pre-work form. If you do your pre-work form, it's all you got to do, and we will send you a quote. We'll tell you exactly what you need right from the wedding planning perspective. So complete your intake form. We'll let you know, hey, this is what we need. This is what we recommend. This is personalized for you. That's all you got to do. And we're excited to work with you. All right. So cheers. We'll see you guys in day 2, and we'll talk to you later.